Dozens are preparing to start the new year without a place to live. The investigation into what started an overnight apartment fire that destroyed the homes of 30 people here in Austin. City leaders in Kyle have a tough decision to make regarding a centuries-old tree, the plans they have for Jolene.
We broke a record yesterday, moving up to 89 degrees. But what does it look like over the next few days? And could we see a big change? That's coming up in your first morning weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
This New Year's Eve, police across Central Texas are increasing their patrols to catch drunk drivers. Thanks for joining us. I'm Will Dupree. The Austin Police Department's effort to crack down on impaired drivers has been running year-round for a few months. It's a no-refusal campaign. This means if someone does not voluntarily let police test their breath or their blood, police will get a warrant.
On average, every single month since we've gone to No Refusal 365, we average about 250 DWI arrests a month. Of those, about 100 of them are a consensual breath sample, roughly 50 that are consensual blood sample, and roughly 100 we apply for a search warrant.
Prior to No Refusal going 24/7, Austin police would operate this initiative on weekends, during holidays, and big events like ACL and South by Southwest. To make the year-round program work, the department received grant funding to staff DWI specialists at the jail who are always on hand to execute those No Refusal warrants. Going in depth now, here's some information on punishments for DWI. These are in cases that do not result in the death of another person. According to the Texas Department of Transportation, first-time offenders can get a fine of up to $2,000 and up to 180 days in jail. You can also lose your license for up to a year, and this does not include any attorney fees.
First warning weather.
As we enter your noon hour on this Tuesday, we're looking live over downtown Austin and what is shaping up to be an incredibly nice day for the final day of 2024. So if you are about to go celebrate somewhere, we want to get you well and prepared for that. So meteorologist Freddie Vela is tracking the forecast for us.
That's the one thing on my mind today is ringing in that new year.
2025.
You know, a lot of people always like to say new year, new me. I like me. I like me. I like what I've been doing.
New year, same you.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
I'm very proud of what I've done this year and can't wait to see what it'll be for 2025 and hopefully you too. In fact, if you're ready to celebrate, here's a look at what you can expect as we ring in the new year. 47 degrees tonight at midnight with clear skies. Nice, cool. Take a jacket with you if you're going to be out and about, and of course safely. As we look out towards tomorrow, temperature should be at around 61 degrees, and this is what you're going to expect as you're celebrating tonight. Just a beautiful clear sky out there. This is a live look at our 360 camera, Westlake, sponsored by Lorenz & Lorenz. As we continue to see the winds picking up as well, the camera's shaking just a tad as we're seeing wind gusts up to about 25 miles per hour in many spots. Pretty much everyone is seeing the exact same thing. No clouds out there. Mason, 59 degrees. Llano at 61. Marble Falls at 62. Austin at 65. San Marcos at around 67 degrees. We're going to see a temperature drop going from Sunday into Monday. That's thanks to that next front. So even though tonight's going to be chilly, we're looking at chillier conditions as we get to next week. Take a look at what we're going to be talking about today. The new year, the next front, and the colder temperatures that are coming. We'll have all that coming up in your first warning weather.
Freddie, thanks so much. We are still following the news of a fire burning the homes of several families in South Austin. That fire happened in an apartment complex just south of Ben White Boulevard off South 1st Street. The fire also sent 4 people to the hospital this morning. KXAN's Barrett Tryon was tracking all of this for us this morning and has the latest about maybe what started this fire.
Yeah, well, we've learned here in the last hour, the fire department now believes it was caused actually by electrical failure. That fire called in just before 2 this morning by the people living at the iconic at South 1st apartment complex. Now, fire crews on scene say it ripped through at least 10 apartments there. In all, that fire pushing nearly 3 dozen people out of their homes. Now, 4 people were hurt. 3 of those were told are children. All of them were treated for smoke inhalation. All of them are expected to be okay. Now, fire crews say that fire damaged at least 4 units, and there's water and smoke damage to 12 units.
They did a good job of getting on either side of the fire and containing it to those original units. And so it's pretty much, the way apartment fires go when they go well, because there was heavy fire. And what we believe it started in what was a vacant unit. Right now, the investigators will spend the rest of the morning digging out the apartment to try to determine the cause of the fire.
Now, fire crews say that fire quickly spread into the attic, which was one of the reasons why they had so many crews on scene this morning. Early damage estimates are now putting that fire at around $200,000 in structural damage alone. We'll have an update tonight on that fire on KXAN News at 5. Will?
Barrett, thanks so much. The Texas A&M Forest Service says parts of the Hill Country have a high risk for wildfires today. Just yesterday, the Texas Division of Emergency Management announced it's sending out additional wildfire resources to western parts of the state. The agency says it has 39 pieces of equipment ready to deploy wherever they're needed. Smaller fire departments, including the Mason County Volunteer Fire Department, say these resources are necessary to fight any large wildfires.
They've got dozers and maintainers readily available, already loaded up, just need to be dispatched out. A lot of the country here in Mason County is real rough, where you can't get a truck like this or any of our other trucks in and around. They've got dozers and maintainers readily available, already loaded up, just need to be dispatched out. A lot of the country here in Mason County is real rough, where you can't get a truck like this or any of our other trucks in and around.
The Forest Service said fireworks are a major concern, especially with New Year's Eve celebrations. It would like the public to be safe and follow any of the local burn bans. Texas driver's licenses offices are closed today and tomorrow for the New Year holiday, but yesterday's outage had been unplanned. The Texas Department of Public Safety shut down license offices across the state due to an outage. DPS said that staff are working with affected customers to reschedule any of their appointments. The agency did not give a reason for that outage. Meanwhile, in Kyle, neighbors there are protesting a decision to cut down a very old live oak tree. The city would like to make old Stagecoach Road safer by widening it. However, in order to do that, they have to remove a tree that has stood there for centuries. The city secured funding 2 years ago for the expansion, but it called off plans to figure out what to do about the tree, lovingly referred to as Jolene. Earlier this month, the city determined that Jolene could be a good candidate to be preserved and moved. But at their meeting on December 3rd, the Kyle City Council voted to move forward with removing the tree. Plans, though, are to install an art piece and to plant new trees to honor it.
I can understand why people would be upset, but at the same time, it's quite costly and it's not guaranteed that the tree would survive.
City leaders said that it would have cost almost $750,000 to have the tree moved. Adding some depth, last year, the Austin Parks and Recreation Department removed a Barton Springs tree known as Flo. It's after the city said it was unwell. One of the city's certified arborists first spotted Flo's brittle cedar fungus. Because of the tree's significance, Austin even contracted with 4 different companies to confirm that Flo was indeed sick. Happy Tuesday and happy New Year's Eve to all of you who are watching this afternoon. We appreciate that. Thanks again for joining us here on KXAN News at noon. We're showing you a live look at downtown Austin. What's shaping up to be a gorgeous day out there to end out 2024. We'll get an update about what's in store for the new year coming up in just a few moments with meteorologist Freddie Vela. Now, as the year comes to a close, we keep following some of the biggest and most impactful stories of the year, those that captured your attention, some good and others hard to take in. KXAN's Nabil Ramadna takes us through the local headlines of 2024.
A lot can happen in a year, and here in Central Texas, 2024 kept us pretty busy. From moments like the total solar eclipse.
It was one of the moments that I will never forget in my lifetime.
Which brought on a Texas-sized party across the Hill Country. Hundreds of thousands of people positioned themselves to witness the exciting occurrence.
It was weird and really cool. It was also like a little spooky.
Big parties in Austin mean big money. Every year, ACL and South by Southwest draw in large crowds. And don't forget about F1.
We're looking into the billions in terms of economic impact.
And how about the Longhorns joining the SEC and making it all the way to the conference championship? They also still have a shot to win it all.
We decided that we wanted to see the first game of the SEC.
It was a presidential election year, returning Donald Trump to the White House, and we also voted on city council seats and the mayor of Austin, Kirk Watson, winning again.
You know, we now have a contract with our EMS workers, our professionals there, with our firefighters, now with the police. We have a new person managing that.
And we have a new head of police, Chief Lisa Davis, sworn in back in October.
At the end of the day, we have to have strategies that look at crime.
It was also a year that police officers faced trials. Former APD officer Christopher Taylor got a 2-year sentence for deadly conduct in the 2019 police shooting of Maurice De Silva.
Now we're put in a position where you go, you respond within your training, you're potentially looking at prison time.
Officers and DPS troopers clashed with students during protests on UT's campus. As tensions rose in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, students took to the South Lawn to show support for Palestine and Israel. There were dozens of arrests.
We were just confused and didn't understand why we had like this kind of response to us, even though we had peaceful intent and there wasn't anything really going on.
The year ended with the loss of former President Jimmy Carter, a life marked by public service and his dedication to building a better future.
We must accommodate changing times, but cling to principles that never change. And I think that's the best philosophy I know in one sentence.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
What a comprehensive wrap-up of this year. I mean, there were so many other stories that captured a lot of our attention, but it's a good way to remind us about all that has happened because it's only going to inform what comes next year.
Yeah, and to look back and to see all these things, and then unfortunately to cap it off with the death of a president.
Right.
You know, I think overall, when we look back at 2024, it's going to be very influential of what comes next for 2025.
Absolutely.
So, let's go and take a look at something else that was influential, and that was the temperature for yesterday. As you can see, we actually came in second on the hottest days of December. 89 degrees was our temperature for yesterday. That just ranked as the second hottest day, behind 90 degrees, and that was on December 25th, 1955. We beat out a bunch of other ones. Remember, the record originally was 83 degrees, and we just smashed that by 6 more degrees. And then when we take a look at perspective as a whole of December, where do we rank so far without today's temperature, obviously? Where do we rank so far? And as you can tell, in third place at 59.2 degrees, while today's temperature I don't think is going to be a massive game changer as far as where we rank here. I think this is pretty much where we're going to settle at. It's still interesting to see that we've been beat twice, 1933, which on a whole, we look back and that year was pretty hot. But 2021 is also on here, so 2 that are going to be from the 2020s overall. Wind speeds, we're watching that too because remember yesterday we had that red flag warning. That was obviously a condition based off of dry conditions and strong winds. And we're seeing almost the exact same thing. The only thing that's missing right now is obviously the dry line that helped out with that yesterday. But it's still favorable conditions for wildfires to spread. So just be careful. We're seeing wind gusts over 25 miles per hour in many spots. In fact, burn bans are still in effect for many of the counties as well. So if you decide to pop any fireworks, make sure that you look at your local laws and see what's happening there. Satellite and radar, clear skies right now. Temperatures still within the mid-60s out there. We're finally getting some other cities back in the mix here. Fredericksburg out of the 50s and into the 60s. San Saba is still at about 58 degrees. Pollen count keeping cedar and mold in the high categories, but on the downward trend right now. No real big changes over the next 24 hours. Really what we'll see is by tomorrow evening, clouds will build up and start moving in one more time, especially as we get to about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. The clouds should start rolling through. So 7-day forecast, keeping us at around 67 for today, 61 for tomorrow, 63 as we get out towards Thursday, Friday, 64 degrees as we get out towards Saturday and Sunday. That's when we start to see temperatures move back up to about 71. That next front comes in, that'll drive down our temperatures by Monday, 54 degrees, and it'll be much cooler as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks again for sticking with us. The Texas Veterans Commission gives out money each year, including grants aimed at helping veterans with some costly home repairs. This year, the program awarded 6 Housing for Texas Heroes grants in the Central Texas area, totaling $1.7 million. That served an estimated 90 home improvement projects. This afternoon, we're going to talk much more about that and the impact of those grants, and we have a very full house with us this afternoon, so we're going to introduce each of our guests who are with us, and as I go along, I'm hoping you can just wave so that everybody at home knows who we're talking to. So first, we're starting off with Joanna Orozco. She works for the Texas Veterans Commission and is an Army veteran herself. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Jesse Porter, who's right here next to me. He is the executive director of the organization Rebuilding Together Austin, which received some of this grant money, and we're going to talk more about that. And finally, Bonnie Yett, who is right here in the middle. She is the surviving spouse of a veteran and a homeowner who received services from Rebuilding Together Austin. Well, welcome to all three of you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great. Happy New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So Jesse, I want to start with you. Your organization, we mentioned there, Rebuilding Together Austin, it received $205,000 from the Texas Veterans Commission through this grant program. Talk to us about what your group does and how that money helped you all.
That's great. Yeah, great to be here. We receive funding from Texas Veterans Commission, like you said. We serve 17 homeowners over the course of a year. We do accessibility modifications, general home repairs, anything that keeps the house functioning, operable, and safe for that homeowner. So
to be able to provide that for people, how does that feel?
It feels great. I'm glad we have the opportunity, and TVC has been great to work with. So it keeps us going. We just want to serve more families.
And maybe you will in the next year. All right, so Bonnie, I understand you received some of the services from Rebuilding Together Austin. Talk about the work that happened at your home and what they were able to provide.
They were able to provide door widening to make it more handicap accessible for my husband, laminate flooring, patio door, deck, wheelchair ramp. I mean, it was amazing what they did. Much needed repairs, you know, on the kitchen, the countertops, the bathrooms. They did so much, and I'm so grateful for everything that they've done. Jesse and the program has made a big difference in my life.
Yeah, Joanna, to hear people benefiting from those programs, the money that you all are able to give from the Veterans Commission, how beneficial is that for people out there?
There's more veterans around Texas in need, but it's amazing to hear Bonnie's story and her gratitude, and as a fellow veteran, know that she was in need and we were able to be there for her. And since the Housing for Texas Hero program started in 2012, we've been able to grant over $55 million statewide and help over 15,000 Texans in need of home repairs and improvements.
Say that figure again for us. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money over a lot of years. Since 2012, $55 million for this program. It's only one of our many programs with the grants team.
All right, there's a wide umbrella for you all, and this is just one of those benefits. So with this particular program, we're going into 2025. What does the future look like for the program?
Like you said, the 6 programs we have just for housing in Central Texas at $1.7 million. Here and the other grants statewide. We look forward to having some dedications coming up in South Texas, seeing the work that Rebuilding Together does here in the area, along with our other 5 grantees. We want to see the results, and we love hearing the stories like Bonnie's.
It seems like 2024 was a good year then.
It was a great year. As a veteran, just join the team. It's a great place to be, to work with other veterans and support them.
Well, I'm so glad we got to shine a light on that and talk a little bit more to all 3 of you. And thank you all so much for coming in. We appreciate it, to Joanna, Jesse, and Bonnie. Thank you all.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
If you live here in Austin, you are about to get another purple notification slip in the mail. It'll be the 3rd time that you've gotten one of these. The first 2 were about changes to the city's land development code. This time, council members told us that the city will be notifying you about changes they could make to rules about short-term rentals. Those are things like Airbnbs. Councilmember Ryan Alter says there are a couple of areas that the City Council seems to be focused on so far. Those include setting up workable rules and enforcement.
So we want to make sure that if we're having limitations on the number of licenses or number of short-term rentals, is that an appropriate number? Because right now we have caps that are just not even enforced. Second is then on that enforcement piece, we have to make sure that we have the tools necessary so that we can go out and enforce unlicensed short-term rentals.
City staff members are still working out the exact details of what will be on those purple slips and what changes the city staff will bring back to City Council. You can expect to get those notifications in the mail mid-January. The issue could be discussed at meetings in February if all goes as planned. And if you plan on staying at an Airbnb tonight, the company will have measures in place to make sure you do not throw a party. It tracks information about the reservation to help determine the potential risk for a disruptive, unauthorized party. If the risk is deemed high, the guest will be blocked from the booking or redirected to another accommodation. Guests will also have to confirm they understand violations will cause suspension or even removal from the platform.
First warning weather.
Coming up on 12:31 this afternoon, and a gorgeous day shaping up so far. Temperatures a little bit cooler than they were yesterday, which is nice, Freddie, because those were pretty warm.
Yeah, we broke that record, hitting 89 degrees yesterday. That was 6 degrees above where we should, what our last record was. That was well over 20 degrees where we should have been. But look, you may be seeing something online that's been popping up over the past couple of days, and that's about next week. You may have seen about a cold blast coming through, and while that is true, we do expect to see a pretty big blast of cold air in our area. The exact temperatures and what to expect are still a little iffy, only because it's past 7 days. And because of that, it is a little harder to determine exactly what we're seeing. Now, you got to remember, anything from now to 7 days, that's pretty solid. We can forecast that and know exactly what's going to happen. But once we start getting to 8, 9, 10, 14 days, that's a little more difficult, and things can and will change. So you may have seen about some of the coldest air moving through. We do know that that is going to happen. This will be some of the coldest air we've seen since last winter. It's going to happen mid to late next week, and it's going to affect all of Central Texas. Now, most of the models are saying that we'll see some night freezes and some winter precipitation. That is true. It's just the amount and how cold it's going to be. That's where we're starting to sort it out. And so tune in here. As we get closer, we're going to be able to give you some real good facts and let you know of what exactly is going to happen. But this is your first warning, first warning. As we look at your 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, it is going to be colder than normal, not only for us, but for a lot of people, especially as that front comes in, or that cold blast comes in. Hey, by the way, in case you're wondering, when we see our latest first freezes, we're already getting into that top 5 of seeing that for this year, December 31st. That's today. We're cracking the top 4 here. We could even move up to 2nd place because January 2nd, January 4th, I don't see freezes there, but we could see it before January 15th, so we may not break that record. And looking at the Indeed camera out at the Domain, still beautiful skies out there with temperatures staying in the 50s and 60s. Well, majority of us now up to the 60s. 65 in Austin, 67 in San Marcos, Fredericksburg 62, and Georgetown at 64 degrees. Coming up, we're going to be discussing a bit more about some of this cooler air that's settling in and what to expect from now until then.
Freddie, thanks so much. A lot of debris remains scattered in parts of Brazoria County out near Houston. This is what it looks like after Monday's tornado, when a deadly tornado ripped through several homes on Saturday. 48-year-old Jamie Brown died in that storm. Her wife says that she and her mother took cover in a small red house next door.
This is where you rode out the storm? Yeah, me and my mom. What was that like? Being on a roller coaster with no seatbelts. It just throws you up, you go up with it, you go down, you fly, you flop, and everything you can do. Where was your wife? In the house that belongs right here, in the kitchen.
The family there said the Red Cross is assisting them, but they are not sure where they will go next. They're hoping their insurance will help cover the damages. The National Weather Service says the tornado tore through more than 8 miles of that area, damaging 10 homes and injuring 4 other people. Organizers have finalized the plans to honor late President Jimmy Carter. Services for our nation's 39th president will begin this weekend, and Washington correspondent Vinay Simlot walks us through how Americans plan to honor the former president.
Funeral services will begin in Plains, Georgia this weekend, and then former President Jimmy Carter's body will be brought up here to the U.S. Capitol to lie in state until his funeral next Thursday at the Washington, D.C. National Cathedral. But already people are gathering at the Carter Center in Georgia and near the White House here in Washington, D.C.
We've had hundreds of people already.
Hundreds of people paid tribute. Maybe not sad about former President Jimmy Carter's death.
Not too, because it was time for him to go.
But grateful for his work. President Jimmy Carter's term in the White House was marked by soaring inflation and hours-long lines for gas.
I actually remember being in a gas line.
The notes people write at the White House Historical Association aren't about policy. They're about who Jimmy Carter was.
Post-Watergate, post-Vietnam, he served with honor.
A man of deep faith who taught Sunday school during his presidency.
He would often teach by asking questions.
And when President Carter's time in Washington ended, he and his wife Rosalind built homes with Habitat for Humanity. They worked on projects at the Carter Center, like trying to eradicate the guinea worm, a parasite in Africa and Asia said to be more painful than giving birth.
He committed his time after his presidency to giving back.
And through his presidency and after, mourners say he never forgot about Plains, Georgia, his hometown, and next week, his final resting place. The official state funeral is scheduled for next Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning. President Joe Biden has already declared that date, January 9th, as a national day of mourning. And then former President Jimmy Carter will be taken back down to Plains, where he will be laid to rest next to his wife of 77 years, Rosalind Carter. In Washington, I'm Vinay Simlot. Back to you.
Vinay, thanks so much. President Biden announced $2.5 billion in additional security assistance for Ukraine. This comes as the White House pushes to get Ukraine as much aid as possible before President Biden leaves office next month. The U.S. has so far provided more than $60 billion in aid to Ukraine since Russia invaded the country nearly 3 years ago. Back here closer to home, Cap Metro is doing its part to make sure you celebrate safely this New Year's Eve. It's running rail service later than normal, and it's also giving free rides on both trains and buses after 5 this evening for the party happening at Auditorium Shores. The last train will leave the downtown station at about 2:30 Wednesday morning. Keep in mind now, Cap Metro will operate a scaled-back service on Wednesday, New Year's Day. Flying into 2025 with a heads up from Austin's airport, not only are there ongoing expansions at the West Gate and the West Infill, those are continuing into the new year. A spokesperson told us some new construction is also on the way.
In 2025, we'll be breaking ground on some new projects. So there's going to be even more construction that will be visible to passengers inside the terminal and even outside. And that's because we're breaking ground next year on a brand new parking garage. This will replace the red garage, which is set to be removed to make way for an even bigger terminal expansion.
The Austin airport is still advising travelers to arrive at least 2.5 hours before flying somewhere else in the U.S. or 3 hours early for international flights. Travelers heading to the United Kingdom next year may now have to take an extra step before they take off. Some will need an electronic travel authorization before boarding their flight. That ETA is an online travel authorization designed to enhance border security in the UK. It's required for travelers from visa-exempt countries, including the U.S., who visit the UK for tourism, business, or short-term studies. You can apply online with your passport and a fee of about $13. You should apply about a week before your flight because approval can take about 3 days. The ETA goes into effect next Wednesday. That's January 8th. Welcome back this afternoon to KXAN News at noon. We're showing you a live look from High, Texas. Gorgeous day out there to end 2024. We'll let you know if you're planning to go celebrate somewhere. What's in store for the weather in the new year with Freddie in just a few moments. This past weekend, a Michigan man met the Savior who saved him from nearly drowning. Zena Isa caught up to the two in Lansing, Michigan, and has their story.
It was a routine drive that turned into a nightmare. Dom hit a patch of black ice, crashed his car, and found himself trapped in freezing water with no way out. As he called his wife to say what he thought would be his final goodbye, a hand reached into the icy water and saved his life.
I don't know if I would have done anything differently. I think I still would have went in and went for him no matter what.
Since that day, Dom and Nick have kept in touch, sharing holiday gifts and cards, but today marks their first in-person meeting.
Good to see he's getting better, you know. It's kind of weird seeing from the last time being, you know, when you're pulling him out of the water, and then here we are just sitting here relaxing now, you know.
Dom survived, but the injuries have been life-changing. He's now dealing with a traumatic brain injury that has left him with a stutter, insomnia, and frequent headaches.
It's been very rough. I have formed a TBBI. I got a stutter when I talk. I have a lot of anger outburst, a lot of deep, dark depression. With my wife, she's done a lot. Trying to get everything going.
Even his 5-year-old son has stepped up in a big way.
And his direct words to me were, Dad, you don't have to worry. I'm the man of the house, and then now I'll take care of us.
Thanks to viewers like you, donations have been pouring in to help Dom and his family get back on their feet.
And just knowing that there's still good people out there.
Despite the challenges, Dom is determined to keep going. He's starting speech therapy to address his stutter and talk therapy to process the trauma. And through it all, Dom and Nick plan to stay connected.
Zena Isa sharing that story for us. Puerto Rico is currently experiencing a nearly island-wide blackout. More than 1.3 million customers are without power in the U.S. territory right now. That outage hit at dawn today, and officials say it could take up to 2 days to restore power. According to the private company that oversees electricity transmission and distribution on the island, the outage was likely caused by the failure of an underground power line. While blackouts are rare in Puerto Rico, the island's power grid still struggles with chronic power outages caused by damage from Hurricane Maria, a powerful Category 4 storm that struck the island back in 2017. Now, Freddie, I want to prepare us now all for the new year because, of course, that's just a few short hours away at this point. So what's in store?
One big drop. And I'm not talking about the ball that we're going to see drop tonight. No. A big drop in temperature. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to see. A difference between Sunday and Monday. 71 degrees on Sunday, 54 degrees on Monday. That is a 17-degree drop. And why are we going to see that? Because of a front that's going to come in. I'll start the clock here. I'll let this play out because there's no real big changes. What we are going to see is as we get into Saturday, the chance of rain picking up late into the evening around 11 p.m. You could see a couple of showers picking up. On Sunday, that's when we could see a few more isolated showers. So that's going to be our focus. But then that next front comes in Sunday into Monday, driving down the temperatures and, of course, clearing things out for us as well. There goes any rain chances that we could see. Taking a look at temperatures for Monday morning, 35 in Mason, 37 in Fredericksburg, 39 degrees in Dripping Springs, 41 in Austin, into Bastrop, Lockhart, San Marcos, LaGrange, and Giddings as well. By Monday afternoon, we're not going very far. We're only going to stay within the mid-50s out there. 57 in Mason and Llano, 59 in Marble Falls, 54 in Austin, and 59 degrees as we get out towards Bastrop. Bringing it to temperatures and conditions right now, clear skies across Texas, including Central Texas as well. With temperatures tonight down to about 41 degrees. Winds coming in from the northeast at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. But even over the next 24 hours, there's no real big changes. It's not until we get to tomorrow evening that we see clouds rolling back in one more time, giving us the partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. So tonight, as you ring in the new year, we should be down into the 40s. Nice, calm, clear, and chilly as well. And then tomorrow, for the very first day of the new year, we'll say goodbye to 2024 and hello to 2025. and temperatures at around 60 degrees. We'll get some sun in there and some late day clouds as well. If you're going to be traveling, here's a look at your travel forecast. 75 for Wednesday in the Rio Grande Valley with a 50% chance of rain and staying in the 70s there. If you're heading out towards Houston, temperatures at around 62 degrees. If you're heading out towards Dallas, temperatures there should be in the mid-50s overall. And if you're making a drive all the way out to El Paso, 64 to 66 degrees over Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Notice we have that one drop today and tomorrow, 61 as we start to move through the week. Your temperatures start to head back up, and then the next front comes in Sunday to Monday, bringing down our temperatures once again.
The New York ball drop is not the only beloved New Year's tradition. On the other side of the country, volunteers are putting those final touches on all the floats for Pasadena's 136th Rose Parade. The city is finalizing its heightened security measures as well before the parade steps off on New Year's Day. The floats will be judged on Tuesday and then placed in the parade lineup for their journey down that 5-mile route. Already the stands are lining the street there, just waiting for thousands to take their seats. No parking signs as well as vehicle barricades are in abundance throughout the community. Public safety is the city's #1 priority. Officials there say that there will be more than 1,000 police units patrolling the parade's route with advanced technology and monitoring behind the scenes. Take a look at this, something really beautiful. Here is a stellar way to close out the year. It's a time-lapse video of the night sky each month of 2024. It was all captured by a Hungarian man who's a photographer named Florian Satai. He recorded all of this in the Hungarian Great Plain, filming for more than 200 hours in the field and spending another 100 hours putting together this final product. It took hours to do that, and while the video does look nice, Satai encourages people to get out and see these skies in person, saying that, quote, "The sky belongs to everyone." Always good to remember that. Away from the cities and nature where light pollution is a little less harsh, the night sky can look completely different, and we certainly can experience that in many of the areas outside of Austin. Now, a woman in Kansas, she had something that was pretty unusual. She had a package stolen from an unlikely porch pirate. Let's take a look at this. Watch how this possum just struts up and makes off with the newly acquired package. That woman says she has a package locker where deliveries are supposed to go, but this one was left out for the unusual thief to say, "This is my package now." This one was left out there for that unusual thief, and she says she has reached out to Amazon after the theft, but I'm not sure there's much possum insurance from Amazon there, but that little thing made away with that, and hopefully it enjoys whatever it was inside there.
He is excited for the gift.
And thank you so much.
Look at him just prancing away. He was just proud of that. He's like, look what I got.
There's a little pep in his step right there.
He was very, very happy. Hey, you know, we're also happy because it is the new year. We're just a couple of hours away, well, less than 12 hours away from it now. If you're going to be heading out to Atlanta for the big game, Texas taking on Arizona State, that's at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Kickoff is at 12 p.m. Tailgate forecast, we're looking at 40 degrees out there. Kickoff at 46. Remember, that's Atlanta temperatures, not here. We're looking at mostly sunny and cold out there. Back here at home, though, we'll be at 61, which, you know, isn't 40s, but that's all right. That's actually right around average for tomorrow, low and high, but then we'll start to warm up a bit more. By Thursday, 63 degrees. By Friday, 64. Saturday, 68. And then Sunday, unfortunately, 71 degrees before the next front comes in. That'll drive down our temperatures once again. 54 by Monday, as we look at Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Again, that's a little far out there. We don't normally like to forecast that far out, but cooler weather on the way.
We shall see. Now, we're going to the new year. A lot of people set resolutions.
Yep.
Do you do that? Do you take those on or try to change something?
This year, it was to read more books. I did that. So now I got to determine, will it be the same thing for next year?
That's actually mine for this next year, too.
You got to do it. You love it. Public library.
Get your library card, everybody. All right. Thank you so much for joining us here on this final day of 2024. We hope you enjoy your new year and ring in 2025 with a lot of happiness and joy and good health out there. Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all back here in about 30 minutes with another update. Enjoy your Tuesday. Take care.